Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co., and this is a coffee chat video. Coffee chat videos are a format I have on the channel where I kind of dive into a random topic that is usually less related to board games, if at all, and then just talk about it. And then the other aspect of it is those videos are usually filmed specifically with the goal that they're going to pop up, a year later, or 6 months later, or 2 years later. Who knows? They'll show up at some point in the future. This one specifically is around weight loss, my weight loss journey, the things I'm currently doing, and hopefully the fact that if you watch yesterday's video or tomorrow's video, hopefully I should be evidently, skinnier than skinnier than I am right now. I use the word skinnier with that pause because I don't think I'm overweight, but I certainly think I can afford to shed a few pounds. So slimmer, let's use slimmer. Hopefully yesterday's video and today's video I look slimmer than I do right now. I've said things like this in the past when filming videos that I knew were going up a year from now because I am ever optimistic that I'll be able to shed those pounds, and ever so often the pounds are going up, not down. Anyways, that's today's video. So if you're interested in my personal weight loss journey since 8th grade, as well as what I'm currently doing and why I'm more optimistic than normal that hopefully there's an effect, we're going to get into that. And it might be relevant to you in terms of if you are someone who's been trying to shed pounds. I can tell you the 2 times in the past that I've lost weight and how I did it successfully. And then I can tell you what I'm doing right now. And if yesterday and tomorrow I look skinnier, then how that was also successful as well. So we'll see. We'll dive into it. That's today's video. So, and today, by the way, I like doing this as well. Today is, what's the date? March 20th. March 20th, 2025. That's when I'm currently filming this. So whenever it pops up, that's how long ago this was filmed. So, let's start with a brief overview of my weight loss journey. Then I'm going to go into the 2 things I've done in the past that worked for me. And then I'm going to go into what I'm doing currently right now, which is arguably the most rigorous, but not necessarily the hardest. In fact, it's probably the easiest while being the most rigorous, which is interesting. So I've been struggling with my weight since I was in 8th grade. And I don't think I've ever gotten to a point that I would say I was very obese, but I certainly have spent most of my life. I would say that the majority of my life has been spent with a higher than BMI, the BMI index, whatever it is, that puts me in the category of obese. I spent most of my life in that area. I've always been a few pounds overweight. I've always been one of the people who could afford to lose a few pounds while also not crossing into an area that looks so bad. I think I could be, at any point, who knows as far as where people are. But I think that for most people, I think there's a nice range you can be in before you're perceived as being really overweight. You can have a few pounds, and I've had that range for a long time. But again, even in 8th grade, it was already at the point where I started to realize that I was putting on those pounds a little bit faster than people in my class, and I tried doing things about it without any real success for a while. I went through 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, slowly putting on more pounds, putting on a few more pounds each year, and slowly getting bigger and bigger. It was only in, I was in college or whatnot, and my first year of college, it's actually called yeshiva in Israel, technically, not really college, but I was in yeshiva in Israel for my first year post-high school, so the year after 12th grade, that I hit 205 pounds when I think I'd started paying attention to my weight around 150. And I hit 205 pounds, and I didn't like the level to which it was constantly increasing, and so at the time, I went on the South Beach diet. Let's do this. Sure. Actually, I'm gonna stick with my original thing. So I went on the South Beach diet. I'll come back to what I did doing the story. I'm trying to think of the order I want to do this. But I went on the South Beach diet, and I was able to successfully drop down to 155. 155 was my lowest that I dropped down to. If you're someone who's familiar with weight loss, in general, whatever you drop down to is not where you're going to settle. You are going to put on a minimum of 5 pounds to your settling weight, and usually it might be more than that. But I dropped to 155, and then I very quickly bounced back up to 160. This is when I stopped dieting at 155. I went back up to 160, and kind of held 160 to 165, crept up a little bit, and then I held on to 165 for around 4 years, I want to say. I held on to 165 for around 4 years. At which point I got a job. I moved to Cleveland, and I found that I was in Toronto at the time, and I found that I started putting on pounds at 3 to 4 pounds a year for the next 5 to 6 years. It was a slow process. I managed to hold it up. I managed to keep it all off, realistically speaking. Again, dropped to 155, slowly crept up to 165, kept at 165 for around 4 or 5 years, and then started creeping up at around 3 to 4 pounds a year once I got a job and started working full time. That was 2010 or so, 2010, 2011, up to around 2018. Does that sound right? I have to like look at my own pictures and see when I started losing weight again. But I think around 2018 probably. I think that's when I started losing weight again for the second time. In around 2018, I spent 2011, 2018 jumping from 165 back up to 205. I got right back up to 205. It took me 7 years to do it. Well, it took me 4 years of holding it off completely, and then 7 more years of slowly putting on a few pounds a year. And a few pounds a year is so easy. And by the way, one thing we haven't talked about is I always was trying to lose weight. I was always trying to see those few pounds and be like, nope, I'm going to do something to stop it. The amount of things I've tried over the years without success are a ton. Whether it's just trying to be calorie mindful, whether it's things like Weight Watchers, logging my food. I've tried so many things without it being successful over the years, but I've tried 2 things that definitely were successful, and in middle of the third right now. Anyways, back to the journey before we come back to the more in detail. In 2018 or so, I started managing to lose weight. Managed to be no specific diet at the time. I just went incredibly calorie restrictive, trying to be very, very mindful to not eat anything extra. I didn't count calories. I was just doing things like every day for, I want to say like 6 months plus every day. My lunch was a can of tuna with some mustard. That's like 110 calories. That was my lunch every day. And it's like chock full of protein. Like it's pretty healthy lunch, all things considered. And then like, I think breakfast was minimal, if anything, like maybe a hard-boiled egg just to get like some degree of something going on, and then dinner was whatever dinner was with some degree of mindfulness over the quantity. So I didn't really count calories. I just went on a try to eat as little as possible for 6 months and then see how that goes. I did that for, I want to say, at least 6 months, and I dropped because I had gone back up to 205, and I dropped back from 205 back down to 160. I haven't achieved 155 since I was 17, something like that. So I haven't achieved 155 in a while, but I managed to drop back to 160, and then again bounce back to 165, and managed to hold on to that. If this was 2019, I was 165, because 2018 I started, 2019 I was 165. I want to say I held on to that. Now, I think I bounced back to 170. I moved back to around 170. Again, there's always like a 10-pound bump slowly. I find that when I stop dieting, I go straight to 5 pounds heavier, and then over the next 6 months, I drop up another 5 pounds, and then from there, it's a little variable. I held on to 170 for maybe 2 years, till around 2021, and then in 2021, started gaining weight again. I don't know exactly what the trigger was at this point. I just lack of mindfulness, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But I started jumping back up again, this time at a faster pace than the past, because, I don't know, maybe jumping up 5-6 pounds a year, because that brought me from 2021 up to 2025, I guess. The beginning of 2025 was when I really started this thing that I'm doing right now, and that means that for 4 years, over the course of 4 years, I went up to 192. So I went from 170 to 192 over 4 years. That's 5.5 pounds a year on average. I don't know exactly which pounds happened when. I mean, I probably could. I've logged my weight fairly consistently since who knows how long. I have 10 years worth of data logging from weight tracking, because it's something I always, for me, if I'm not being mindful, I am gaining weight. That's where I am in life. That's where I've always been in life. If I'm not actively watching my weight, I'm gaining weight. So 2021 to 2025, I put back on 22 pounds, and then I've tried different things over the years. You've heard me say different things. You've heard me in different videos talking about my attempts or goals to lose weight, and every time it hasn't worked. Every time the scale has just kept higher instead. And as of 15 days ago, I was at 192. And as of today, I'm at 184. So I'm 8 pounds lower than I was 15 days ago, which sounds like a lot. It's not really a lot. Again, if you've lost weight before, you know this. If you haven't, it might sound like a lot. It's one of those things like diets love to promise, like these lots of fad diets like to promise, like you'll lose 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks. That's not that hard. Losing 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks, it takes work, but it's not like super hard because your body carries so much water weight. When you start dieting, the first 5 pounds are free. Literally the first 5 pounds are just your body shedding weight. We'll come back to this stuff in a second. That's kind of where things are right now. So where things are right now is I'm currently 184. I'm dropping down from 192 15 days ago. Wait, 15 days ago? No, less than that. Less than that. Maybe 10 days ago? 10 days ago? Because I think my weight tracker thing is, so 10 days, I think. So dropped 8 pounds in 10 days. And I'm currently tracking at, I want to say, hopefully 2 pounds a week. Which, by the way, the funny part here is like a month ago, you may have watched a video on the channel where I was like, I'm taking weight loss slow this year. I'm just trying to lose 10 pounds over the course of the year. But then I gained 4 pounds after that video, and I was like, screw that. I can't do it. I've never managed to lose weight by taking it slow. I've only ever managed to lose weight by being very intense about what I'm doing. Not too crazy. I've tried different things. I've tried intermittent fasting, that never worked. I've tried keto, that didn't work. I've tried so many different things that didn't work for me. But that's kind of where things are. And with that, we're going to go from, that's kind of my personal weight loss journey. I am somebody who am always struggling with my weight. I'm always being mindful of it. I can't just eat and that's normal. Maybe I like food too. I don't know if it's a metabolism thing. I don't know if it's, I like food more than the average person. I don't know. And lots of people struggle with this. I'm not unique, but there are people who don't have to watch what they eat. They just eat and their body stays where it's at. There are people who are like that. It gets harder the older you get. But I've never been like that. And again, I don't know if it's metabolism. I don't know if it's the fact that I like eating more food than I should. Because I like food. I really like food. Good food is good food, and I enjoy partaking in good food. So it could be the second thing. I don't want to blame metabolism when it could just be that I like food. But that's kind of where things are. I've noticed that if I am stepping on the scale daily, I am probably not gaining weight. And if I'm not stepping on the scale daily, when I come back 3 months later, I'm up 2 pounds. That's the consistent thing for me over the past 10 years of my life. So, what worked the first time? What worked the second time? What am I doing now? The first time was South Beach. South Beach was one of several things that, again, I've tried different things. Tried keto, tried Weight Watchers, tried intermittent fasting. None of those have worked for me. Tried taking it slow, never worked for me. I tried a bunch of other stuff, never worked for me. When I did South Beach, I had the benefit of being younger and not having responsibilities, which meant I was doing 3 things simultaneously, and those 3 things certainly had an impact in me dropping from 205 to 155, and I want to say around 3 to 4 months, somewhere in that range, I want to say. And I loved it. It was the biggest transformation I've had. Again, going from 205 to 160 is big, but you know, this was faster and more. Faster is not necessarily good, by the way, but it was faster and more. South Beach diet is very high in fat. It's not full keto, but it's very high in like fat is a good thing, and sugars are a bad thing, starches are a bad thing, carbs are a bad thing. You want to just eat as much fat as possible. So enjoy your chicken, spice it to the ends, do what you want to do, have as much of it as you want. Don't watch your calories, just eat foods that go into the healthy food groups and avoid foods that go into the bad food groups. That's the basic premise of South Beach, and it worked great for me. I combined that with walking on a regular basis. I don't know how often, but I definitely was walking at the time. And then doing a lot of jumping rope. I would jump rope every morning for like 20 minutes. Speaking of which, I need to find my jump rope and add that to my routine, possibly. I did enjoy the jumping rope part of this. Anyways, that's what I did. I did that for like 4 months, and I managed to drop the pounds. I had the benefit of being young, having time to manage my food, time to work out, and not having a lot of other things in the way. That's what worked the first time. The second time was a little harder. I had tried it a few times and it didn't always take, but I guess for me, my motivation usually peaks when I'm hitting those numbers at the top over there. When I got to 205, I'm like, no, I cannot do this again. I don't like being 205. I like being skinnier than that. And this time around, it only took getting to 192, but it was getting to 192 like 2 weeks after I put out a video being like, I'm taking it slow and losing weight. And so I was like, I just can't. But anyway, second time around was mostly just calorie restriction. And honestly, I told you what I was doing already. I don't think I really worked out much, if at all. I didn't think I did much exercise, if at all. I primarily just focused on a heavy degree of calorie restriction, not counting my calories, but just being very restrictive, and doing that for 6 months to 9 months. It was a much longer time frame, but I did successfully drop 45 pounds doing that. I don't necessarily have a specific recommendation. I'd say my recommendation is more to do what I'm doing right now. I think what I'm doing right now is probably the best. And for me, especially the way I work, and this is going to apply to a lot of you because I'm inherently talking to a lot of board gamers, and so there's a degree of gamification in the second part of, well, what I'm doing now. What I'm doing now actually has a degree of gamification to it, which kind of brings me to what I'm doing now. What I'm doing right now is I'm kind of building off of things that I know have worked for me in the past, which is primarily calorie restriction, but I'm adding to that a lot of approaching it smartly. Because I've tried, over the past few years, I've tried repeating what I did with the calorie restriction. I never tried doing South Beach again. My lifestyle nowadays doesn't support cutting out massive food groups, and it hasn't for a long time. When I was young, I was able to, but now I just can't just tell everyone around me I'm just not eating giant sections of food. I'm not eating any carbs at all, period. I'm only having like protein and fat. I can't say that nowadays. So I never really went back to South Beach. I think I tried one time briefly. It lasted 2 weeks. I was like, going back to something like South Beach doesn't work for my current lifestyle. Maybe it will for you. I think I recommend South Beach. It worked for me. It was great, but it doesn't work for me now. going back to calorie restriction, meaning the thing I did the second time, I've tried that a few times and it has never stuck. And I think a big part of it is that I didn't approach it smartly. I also, and this is a big part of it for me as well, is I haven't been motivated enough. For me, generally, the scale hitting certain numbers is the motivation I need to take it seriously. Until then, I'm like, I want to lose weight, but I'll have another cookie. What's the big deal? I can diet next week. That's generally the approach I take until I hit a number that I'm like, nope, it's got to happen now. And so what I'm doing now is I'm focusing on calorie restriction with some degree of exercise, with some degree of being smart, and a whole lot of tracking, because tracking is gamification and it makes me feel better about it. And again, depending on when you watch this video and what I look like, it either worked or it didn't, which is the good news. And well, the good news if it worked, bad news if it didn't. Also, if it didn't work, then don't take any of this as my recommendations of what to do, because inherently it's not great. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using an app called My Net Diary. It's one that I looked into a few options. I downloaded this one. I like it. Other than the fact that every other day it pops up with a new, like, hey, please pay for the premium version. I haven't done so yet. I just hit dismiss on those, and I like I dislike the frequency of the pop-ups, but I'm also getting a pretty good app for free, so no cost to it. There is a premium version. I find that I don't need the features of the premium version enough that I've bothered to do so. For the $40 a year, and by the way, if you do want to buy the premium version, keep it on your phone for a week and just wait till you get the biggest discount offer. They keep jumping around the discounts, like half off, 30% off, 70% off. They keep jumping it around, so wait till you get a good one. But anyways, I would pay for the premium version if I felt that there was a benefit from that I need. Right now, the only benefit I would get is the lack of pop-ups. Although there is one that might be relevant to you. We'll talk about that soon. So, My Net Diary allows me to log my food, and I've done food logging in a lot of things in the past. I have never found something as good as My Net Diary, but I also haven't used one in like 5-6 years, so I don't know what's currently out there. I happened to download this one. It was well rated on Play Store, and I'm logging my food in this. The one thing I will say, if you're using My Net Diary, unless they fix it in the future, is the way human bodies work. And this is where, like, I always feel bad for women in this conversation because it feels so unfair. And I'll explain this in a second. The way the human body works is you burn a certain amount of calories just by existing. So in the case of someone like myself, my resting metabolic rate plus a sedentary lifestyle, my baseline is I'm burning around 2,100 calories a day. That's my general baseline. It's rough numbers. They're not perfect numbers, but it's rough numbers if I'm burning 2,100 calories a day, which means I can eat 2,100 calories a day and maintain my weight. There's also a small degree of rubber banding the human body has where it adapts to a certain extent to what you have. So it doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, but it also means that losing weight, you kind of have to break through a certain number. You can't just eat 10 calories less than your burning rate every day and expect to lose weight. But so that's the general idea, 2,100 calories. The woman thing is that your average woman is just running with less calories. So it could range, but a woman in the same situation, same age, same rough whatever, might be looking at 1,700 calories a day instead. So that means I could lose weight eating 1,700 calories a day, and the same person who's a woman, that's their basic amount. So it's just unfair that women have less calorie room to maneuver with, which just feels unfair to me. Anyways, 2,100 calories is what I need. So to me, the calorie deficit is, before we get that, the problem with My Net Diary is that My Net Diary has a more lax default rate. So when you plug in your height, your weight, your age, all those things, My Net Diary tells me that I can use 2,300 calories a day, which is not good because I don't want an app telling me I can use 200 more than every other site tells me. The way to fix that, as of right now, is either the premium version, I think, has the ability to custom set your own range, or you can cheat the system, which I did, and just put your height in at 2 feet lower than you actually are. That's what I did, and it ended up giving me the right calorie amount. So all you need to do is just look at your calorie amounts on a different site, find those numbers, and plug in your height until My Net Diary gives you the right amount. So there's a small little 2 cents there, because the last thing you want to do is think that you have an extra 200 calories a day than you do and find that you're not really losing weight. It's not great. Anyways, so for me, based on my target weight loss, My Net Diary puts me in at needing 1,600 calories a day, or 1,632 calories a day. That's a roughly 500 calorie a day deficit, which would translate into roughly a pound a week of weight loss. So it's around 3,500 calories translates into a pound of weight loss. So you need to eat 3,500 calories less than your allowance to burn a pound, and you need to eat 3,500 calories above your allowance to gain a pound, which means, I don't even want to do the math on that, but if I gained 22 pounds over the past 4 years, I ate 22 times 3,500 extra calories over the past 4 years. That's probably a lot. I probably shouldn't think about that too much. Anyways, 1,600 calories a day is what I'm trying to aim for. And then from there, it all friendly tracks it into, like, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and all that. And there's several features that are very helpful. It has a barcode scanner that pops up in a second, so I just scan whatever I'm eating, pop in the amount I'm eating, it takes 2 seconds. I highly recommend getting a $7 to $10 food scale on Amazon to help you in this process. Nothing quite like eyeballing that chicken and think you're having 6 ounces, which might be 400 calories, and then ending up having 9 ounces, which is 600 calories, and boom, that's 200 calories of your deficit. So I highly recommend food scales for this. I find that for the most part, it's pretty easy to track most of my food between barcode scanning, between the food scale. Complicated recipes are the worst. You can plug in your own recipes. I do find for some things I might just go with a close enough kind of thing. So if I'm making some sort of chicken salad, something, whatever it is, I might just Google chicken salad in the thingy, pull up one, and say that's close enough. So I do that. I find that I'm doing that maybe once or twice a week, and most of my stuff is either repeat things that I've eaten. So in general, anything you're eating on a repeat basis, make sure to plug those in as far as recipes or as you know what they are. I do find the app is very good at remembering what things you liked in what sections. So if I frequently have my coffee every morning for breakfast, the app is very good at being like, hey, log that coffee. I hit check, boom, done. It's all good. So it's very good as far as the app goes. Logs your water. You could log activity through it. It looks like my steps are coming in because I have Health Connect. I'm using Health Connect, which is the Google's connected system. I'm using Google Fit on my phone because I have a Pixel. I have my Pixel Watch actually arriving today. I bought a old Pixel Watch 2. The Pixel Watch 3 is out now. I bought a Pixel Watch 2 for like $60 on eBay because I don't need to spend $300 on a new one. The old one's good enough for what I need. I'm going to be using that for tracking more things and whatnot. But that's basically what's going on as far as the connected system over here, as far as tracking your steps and all those things. It shows you now. So I said 1,600 calories a day. I'm not strictly speaking doing that. There is a concept in dieting that, again, dieting is complicated because there's so many different things that apply to so many different people, and everything's different. Salad's bad here, fat's bad there, sugar's bad there, fruits are bad, fruits are good, fat's bad, fat's good. Sugar, I think universally we agree is bad, but it depends on the type of sugar. Milk sugar might be good, fruit sugar might be good, or at least the fruit or milk might be good enough that it's worth the sugar. It's so complicated as far as what's good or bad, so everything I say here is what's working for me. But one of the things out there that does work for me, or theoretically works for me, is the principle that there's a degree of rubber banding around both long-term dieting as well as weekly dieting. What that means is that if my average allocation is 1,600 calories a day, there's 2 ways to approach that. I could have 1,600 calories a day. That's option 1. The other option is I could have 1,400 calories a day, and twice a week you have 1,900 calories. I didn't do the exact math on that, but that's the rough idea. Meaning the idea being that you have 1,600 average, but you actually go lower for 5 days a week and then higher for 2 days a week. And the reason for that specifically is your body gets used to patterns in multiple ways, in the long term, which we'll come back to, as well as in the short term. And by taking your body off a consistent 1,600, you slow down the process of your body adapting to starvation mode to try to preserve as much calories as fat as possible. So by putting 2 days a week that are more normal, your body doesn't go as quickly into starvation mode. So it slows down that process and it makes your calorie restriction better off for you in the long run. And that's what I'm currently trying to do. 5 days a week, I go fairly restrictive. 2 days a week, I eat a few more calories, and the average is supposed to be 1,600. I will say my net diary, not great at tracking averages overall. I find there are ways you can look at stuff, but I don't find it to be that great. Like there's no rollover, there's no whatever, none of that stuff. So for me, I just kind of eyeball it, but it does work for me overall. The other things I'm doing, coffee break. And I should note, I lost the first 8 pounds before doing any of this. I started walking 2 days ago. Maybe I lost most of the first 8 pounds before doing this. 2 days ago, I started walking. I started adding the 10,000 steps a day to my regime. 10,000 steps is not the easiest. For context, that's probably about an hour and 15 to an hour and a half, depending on your speed of walking. Honestly, it could be slower. But 10,000 steps a day is, if you assume you're going to get 1,000 steps in general movement or activity, you're going for the 9,000 steps while working out. That's an hour and 15 to an hour and a half of your day. I find that I'm probably closer to that hour and 15, but for me, a big part of it is I've been putting on audiobooks and going for walks. It's not easy to get an extra hour and 15 minutes out of your day. It's really not. But for me, because of the trajectory that I want to hit, if I'm starting at 192 and I want to get to 155, let's say, if I want to hit the lowest, I'd love to hit 154 and be the lowest I've been since I was 17. But if I'm trying to get to, let's say 192, 154, that's 40 pounds or something like that, to the 38 pounds. If I lose 2 pounds a week, and that's a big if, also that's pushing how much I should lose, but we'll see. But if I lose 2 pounds a week, that is 38 pounds, 14, 19 weeks. 19 weeks. That's a little over 4 months. 4 months of this I can manage. I can find that hour and 15 a day, and I do find motivation is worth it. And I kind of want to hit 154. That's my new target right now. We'll see what happens. I expect to bounce back right after that, but that's fine. Resting at 160, that's cool. So for me, finding the time to put the steps in, because basically, to, again, rough numbers here, but depending on your body size, depending on all of that, you are looking at 10,000 steps a day. Is for the average person is going to be roughly 500 calories burnt, which means if you're doing that every single day, that's another 3,500 calories gone a week, which means if you're deficiting yourself by 500 calories and working out 500 calories, that's basically a 2-pound weight loss a week on average. Should be, if things go well. And so that's currently what I'm trending towards right now. We'll see, again, the first 8 pounds in 10 days doesn't matter. The trend over time will be the thing that shows me whether that's holding up. But I justify it by throwing on, not podcasts even, but audiobooks. Because anyway, I've been trying to read more this year, and I like reading more than audiobooks, but I've been picking secondary books that I enjoy going through, and I've been putting those on in the background, and I've already gone through the first book by doing this. And so that's nice. It gives me that extra motivation to, I feel like I'm accomplishing my reading goals, and I feel like I'm putting an hour and 15 a day towards those steps as well. I hope to add some degree of resistance training as well, just to like get some weightlifting or sit-ups, push-ups, all that kind of stuff. But I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm not trying to add too much too quickly. I did buy a treadmill thingy, not a full treadmill, but like a walking treadmill under the bed kind of thing. Bought one for $110 on Amazon. I'm telling you prices of like the Pixel and the 110 and the free, because like these are the costs I'm incurring on this journey. And if you're trying to do something similar, the costs don't have to be that high. A treadmill seems daunting in terms of the price point, but I have a $110 treadmill that for when it's not nice outside, I can walk inside and watch an episode of TV instead of an audiobook and still have that same feeling of at least some degree of progression on something while walking, so it doesn't feel like just wasted time. Like, I love nature as much as the next person, but like I don't want to walk for an hour and 15 minutes a day unless I feel I'm doing something else at the same time. So that's kind of the trifecta of what I'm doing. I'm logging my food using my net diary. I am being calorie deficit in terms of how I approach it. Oh, one thing I didn't say, I'm being very mindful of my macros. Macros are the concepts of balancing your food stuff. You want to make sure you're having protein and fat in your diet and less on the sugars. So I've been very, very particular about focusing on, because I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I need to tell you really what I'm doing. So for me, the things I've been doing are specifically trying to eat foods that are more protein and fat heavy, while not avoiding sugar completely, not avoiding carbs completely. I am focusing on more protein and fat. So a typical breakfast for me might be anything from overnight oats. Overnight oats is a company. I do my own overnight oats sometimes, but I find overnight oats is good for hitting more protein as well as for just easier. So I do both. I have ingredients to make my own stuff, but if I just want to throw something in, overnight oats is a kind of subscription-based service where you can get basically a breakfast that's oats and protein and all these things all in a nice little cup. And for me, honestly, it's usually a more of a almost brunch as opposed to a full-on breakfast. But I've been having that. I've been having cottage cheese with, not cottage cheese, Greek yogurt mixed with protein powder. That's a big one that hits, like, that's for 150 calories, you might be getting like 27 grams of protein, which is like a lot of protein for that ratio. So that's like excellent. And honestly, it tastes pretty good too. I've been doing that a lot of mornings. For lunches, I've been doing anything from, been doing a protein shake replacement once a day max. I find it's once every 2 or 3 days. I've been doing one of those. Alternatively, tuna, like I mentioned. So I'm finding certain specific types of food that I find hit those areas that I'm a little weaker in to be able to get my breakfast and lunch more set. I do have my coffee choice today. I'm not really cutting back on that. It's a little more sugar heavy than I'd like. It does have some fat. So there's some protein, some fat, but it's a little more sugar heavy than I'd like. But my coffee is my something I enjoy every day. And then dinners, I haven't been avoiding specific foods so much. I have been rather just focusing on portion control a little heavier. And then the big thing with logging food is it stops you from snacking. It's so easy to eat a Kit Kat here, a Reese's bar there, snack on some extra chicken nuggets from the kids' dinner. There's so many things that are easy to do when you're not logging. And when you're logging all that food, you're like, do I really want to add 50 calories to my day because I want, or 80 calories? An Oreo is 80 freaking calories. So that's terrible. That's not good. Past that, I'm making sure to have like protein friendly snacks around the house. So if I do want to snack on something, I have like this Trader Joe's granola that's very high in protein. I've experimented with I have a few protein shakes around. I've experimented with protein ice cream, different things that kind of give you the ability to have a quick bite or a quick snack while not necessarily triggering your sugar cravings and while being lower in calorie and higher in filling you up. Protein will fill you up a lot more in order to help balance it all. That's kind of been the food choice I've been making. So I've been making better food choices. I've been logging my food. I've been tracking it. I do find the tracking of everything, the tracking of steps and the tracking of food comes across to me as gamification. I log my weight every single day. Some days your weight will fluctuate. Your weight will go up some days. It will go down other days. I do believe you should log yourself every day if you're trying to diet. I don't believe you should care too much about every day. What I think you should do is every day that you log your weight, look at what your weight was a week ago. Not what it was yesterday, not what it was 2 or 3 days ago. Always look back at a week ago. Because often, if you are being diligent about these things, your week over week will almost always be down. Your day over day might not. And that could be deflating. To have a great day where you put in your steps, you ate your food, and you step on the scale, and you're up, half a pound, that can really be deflating. Until you look back and you're like, oh, a week ago, I'm still a pound lower than I was a week ago. And that's kind of where you want to be. Always look a week back, but log daily so that you can look a week back. There'll be days that you feel very motivated. There'll be days where you step on the scale if you lost 2 pounds from yesterday. But again, that's why I look week over week. Food adjusts to your body differently. If you have rice can be very water heavy and absorbent, and you might hold on to a little more water weight after having a rice meal, even though those calories might not stick around forever. So there's a lot of psychology in this whole journey as far as feeling motivated. It's why also that initial weight loss, when you first start dieting, you're effectively depriving your body of all that extra water weight it's holding on to as you go into calorie restriction. It's also why when you're done dieting, it rebounds back to a degree of putting on a few pounds of just adjusting to no longer dieting. Those early 4 or 5 pounds you lose are fake. They're great for motivation. They're fake in the long term, and you're going to gain them back when you stop dieting. So these are all things to be mindful of. There's nothing quite so deflating as easing off your diet, putting on the first 5 pounds and being like, well, all of this is going to just be a waste of time. So just be mindful of those things as you go. I mentioned that your body adapts to calorie restriction in the short term and long term. For the long term, one of the things I'd recommend doing, again, it's going to be different for every person, but in general, I'd recommend this, is if you are dieting for more than 3 months. And I think I'm trying to, so I'm probably going to do this as a break in middle. If you're dieting for more than 3 months, at around the 3-month mark, or in my case, I might even do it at the 2-month mark. We'll see. I'm not sure. I might just do it at the 3-month mark. We'll see. Go off your diet for 2 weeks. Go back to normal calories, whatever your normal calorie intake is. Even you might even want to add in, 10% or something like that. But just go off your diet for completely off your diet. Still work out or exercise if you want to do that. But as far as calorie restriction, go off for 2 weeks. Complete 2 weeks, and then go back on. It is a little hard. Mentally, it's very hard to go off your calorie restriction and then go back onto it. It's very tricky to do that. I find it's easier if it's around an event. If I'm traveling out of town for that week and there's a donut at a bakery, it's easier to be like, well, I'm just out of town this week. And then I go back home and I go back to calories. That's easy. Well, not easy, but easier. Going off for a full 2 weeks while at home is tricky. But it resets your body to a certain extent. Again, you'll come back. Your body, I've dieted several times. I've been through this. I'm not an expert by any means, but I know enough about the space that you hit a certain point with dieting otherwise where you kind of feel like you're hitting a wall. You feel like you're being calorie restrictive, you're doing all the right things, and now you're just creeping down at 0.01 pounds every week. If that, it feels like hitting a wall, and therefore it's harder to put in the work. If you go off your diet for 2 weeks and then go back on, and I would say don't wait till you hit that wall, do it at around 3 months in. It kind of resets your body out of that starvation mode and it goes back into normal, and then you can push back over that hump. Definitely something that I recommend doing if you're able to do so. All of this is kind of what I'm doing. Logging, weight loss, thingies, all this. It's not easy, but it's also not hard. For me, I think that I like food. I'm food motivated as a person in general, but I haven't been avoiding food. I've been avoiding some food. I've been enjoying my day. I've been enjoying my breakfast. I've been enjoying my coffees. I've been having dinners like I normally do, possibly eating 15%. I would say the biggest changes as far as calories are My food throughout the morning is a little bit more mindful. My snacking is gone almost completely out the door. Like, I no longer just go to the cabinet, grab some, I don't know, tortillas and just tortilla chips and then just go at the salsa for like 4 minutes. I no longer do stuff like that right now because that has a, boom, 350 calories into my day. There goes my weight loss. So I'm being more restrictive on snacking. I'm eating maybe 15% smaller portion sizes because I'm being a drop more mindful. I'm not going back for thirds, and maybe I go back for seconds sometimes. So I'm being more mindful in all those areas, but I don't feel like I'm having a bad life by any means. And I'm enjoying the gamification and the process and the logging, and this is currently working for me. After this is done, when I hit that 154, I plan on easing off it. 154 is a magic number. It just means that the lowest I've been since I've ever done this. When I hit that 154, if I hit that 154, I plan on continuing with the activity. I don't think I need to care. I don't personally care about 10,000 steps a day, but I might drop down to like, I don't know, 3,000 steps a day, 4,000 steps a day, something reasonable where I feel like I like to do walking for like 20 minutes a day and not necessarily an hour. Maybe some resistance training as well. If I want to keep those things in my routine, I don't know if I will. I haven't ever been health motivated. Obviously, I want health from an abstract concept, but I don't see those returns. So I'm not really as health motivated for the sense of I should be healthy. I have always been feeling fit motivated. Feeling like I like the way I look when I'm slimmer. I like the way I feel when I'm slimmer. I don't like the way I feel when I eat, 3 servings in a row. So I have always been weight loss motivated, and I'm curious what I'll be able to maintain. If I do hit that weight loss, will I continue doing any steps? Will I continue doing any resistance training? I think I will continue logging food. I'll try to at least. I think it's worth doing to some extent. Maybe not when, I don't know. I'll figure it all out. But this is the journey I'm on right now. This is where I am at the moment. Again, the nature of this video, it's March 20th today. In theory, I believe I should be close to my target weight in 3 months. But this video probably isn't going up for at least 6. So I have wiggle room. I have wiggle room to see where this goes and whether this is the time that I actually lose weight or it's yet another time of me telling you, I'm on a weight loss journey. I'm going to be accountable to all of you. I'm going to talk to you every week and tell you where I'm at. Or I'm trying to lose 10 pounds by the end of the year. No, I'm trying again to drop 20 pounds, more than 20 pounds. I'm trying to drop 38 pounds. Well, not 38 anymore because I dropped the first 8. I'm trying to drop 30 more pounds from where I am. I'm 184 today. I'm trying to get to 154. And then I'll pause, slow down, and try to go back to life while being a drop more mindful so as not to gain it back again. I probably will. I don't know. There's only so many times you can gain it back before you're like, this is just the pattern I'm on. But also, the older you get, the harder it is to lose. So maybe I could just be a little bit more mindful this time around and try to just cut out a little bit more here and a little bit more there and not go so crazy. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that has been my coffee chat of everything going on over here. That's my weight loss journey over the years, the things that have worked, things that haven't worked, and what I'm currently doing. And I'll see you in 6 months, and we'll see whether I actually did successfully drop those 30 additional pounds. In any case, then until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. If you stuck around this far, you're either super invested in my life, or you are someone who has struggled with their weight, or you hit play a while ago and didn't care enough to turn it off. Whichever category you're in, if you are someone who's struggling with weight, good luck. It's so hard. It is so hard, but I think if you start it, I highly recommend starting what I'm doing to anyone who's struggling with weight. Start on a logging your food, taking your steps, and logging your food. It really turns into gamification. It's such a difference. Try to eat protein high food and fat high food and less sugar and carb high food, while not necessarily avoiding all food categories. Try to be mindful. Get a tub of protein powder in your house and dump it into your yogurt or your shakes or whatever. There are so many things you can do on this journey, but do it for a week. Just a week. Don't do it. You don't need to do it for 3 months. Do it for a week. And then see how hard it actually is and whether you're able to do it for longer. Because if you find yourself doing it for a week and seeing a few pounds drop off the scale and realizing it's not quite so hard, it might be a good thing that works for you. That said, I can speak from a lot of experience by saying not everything that works for everyone is going to work for everyone. It is a hard journey. I have failed 3 times for every time I've succeeded at this. So it's definitely something that I respect the struggle, I respect the challenge, and I'm currently feeling the most optimistic I ever have about weight loss, but I also need to do it for another 3 months before I can say that with anyone taking me seriously. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.